Hi, beautiful souls. I'm Elizabeth, and welcome to Untangling the Heart. This time is for you, so grab a cup of coffee or tea or whatever brings you a sense of comfort. Sit back, relax, and settle in. And as you listen today, just notice what resonates for you. There may be something here that's meant just for you. It's so good to have you here. Today's episode is focusing on learning to feel safe with others again. Perhaps you've felt that in the past. And I'm thrilled to introduce my gorgeous guest today, Emilie White. She's a beautiful, gifted, and talented soul with a huge heart. And she's kind enough to share a meaningful part of her journey with us and how she was able to find her way through it. Emilie, I'm really grateful that you're here. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Absolutely. Thank you for asking me to come on. I'm excited to be here.
Awesome. Beautiful, beautiful. So let's begin wherever it feels most true for you. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I am 42 years old. I know I look like I'm in my 20s though. And I am a holistic health coach and I help families detox their homes from toxic chemical exposures that we're exposed to every day. I got into this field because my father passed away 20 years ago from cancer. And so I thought I would share my health journey as well with everybody.
Wow, that's amazing. It's amazing how things in our lives that could really be rough or feel devastating somehow get us to another place where we get to expand and help others. And that's why I was so compelled to ask you to share with us today. So,
Oh, thank you. Yes, absolutely.
yeah. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about this topic for you of learning to feel safe with others again. What was going on for you? Share a little bit of your story, if you will.
Well, unfortunately, in the beginning of my years, I was going to college at the time, and I have had been dating somebody for, I dated him for 3 years, but I had been dating some, and it was new. It was new, new dating, and and he was emotionally and mentally abusive. I didn't realize this until after probably 6 months, maybe a year, till it kicked in, that this was going on. I mean, you really don't know. You don't know until you can see different things that they do, or, I'll share with my mom something that I'm like, oh, well, he did this today. How do you feel about it? Kind of a thing. And my mom would let me know, well, he should not be doing that to you, or he should have said it a different way, or, just stuff like that. And he was very controlling, very, very controlling. And me and my mom were talking about where I wanted to go to college, and I wanted to go. We were talking about San Diego State or something like that. Yeah, it was San Diego State, and I wanted to go. And I lived in California at the time, so it wasn't too far. Maybe a 2 hour, drive, an hour and a half, 2 hour drive from where I lived. And I had you know, talk to my mom about it because this is where I really wanted to go. I love San Diego. It's resonated with me. The weather was perfect. I would be near beaches and water, and that's my thing. Like I love to be near water. And I brought it up to my boyfriend at the time, and he's like, "Oh no, no way. You can't be away from me. That's too long. I will never see you, and we'll probably, we won't be together anymore because I can't see you anymore." So I literally had to change everything for this person.
Hmm.
Not for me. I couldn't take anything on myself. I couldn't do anything myself. And in order for me to stay in this relationship, I had to reroute and try to figure out a different college I wanted to go to. So I did. I stayed around the area instead, and it was only a 20-minute commute instead. And he was just always possessive. He knew I had 3 jobs at the time and going to school, so I was full time everything. And he still would demand my attention, my time, called me all the time. I mean, literally 24/7. It was every 5 minutes. Like he would be calling me, "What are you doing? What are you doing? Get over here." I haven't seen you for days. You know, it's just like, wow. I don't mind, someone wanting my presence and to be with me, but being that controlling and not, I wasn't able to even say anything or put my own opinion or anything into it. It had to just be all about him.
Mm.
And there was another time he was a humongous baseball fan. Okay, so anytime the baseball was on, nothing to do with me. If I was there, it was like I wasn't even there. Like I was a wall or something. He didn't pay attention to me. And at, after a while, I started saying, well, you know what? If you're just going to watch TV and not pay attention to me while I'm with you, I'm just going to be home. I'm going to stay home because this is not fair to me. And he would get really aggressive. And sometimes he would throw things at me. He wouldn't hit me, but he would throw it at me to scare me, like, something like a remote or nothing too physical or heavy or anything like that. It was more mentally and, it wasn't physical, which thank goodness, but still emotionally and mentally is kind of the same thing. It's just I'm not getting beat up on the outside. And so,
Absolutely.
yeah, he was just super duper controlling, and I didn't have any say.
So, and you bring up a good point in that I know others may have experienced this before in a relationship, is that it's not always the physical. It's that controlling emotional, how you feel around that person. So,
Mm-hmm.
let's stay with that for a moment. What were you experiencing internally other than, you had gotten to a point where you shared with us where you said, well, I'm just going to stay home if you're not going to pay attention to me. But could you explain how you were starting to feel emotionally about this?
Well, I would come home crying most of the time. And my mom would be like, what's wrong? And, I'd explain everything to her, and she's like, well, you need to do something about it. She was my biggest supporter. I mean, biggest supporter. And, she, unfortunately, she had been into abusive relationships as well. So, um, and but this was after mine. So this was after I had mine. But so she didn't really know in the beginning like what to do. She kind of knew what to do, like to tell me to try these different things with him to see if it would pan out the right way I wanted it to, or if it would get him more aggressive. And so, I tried things. I did what I could. I mean, I couldn't really put my foot down and stand up like a strong. I'm tiny. He was like 6 foot. I'm 5'2", and so like, even though he never put his hands on me or physically hurt me, I was walking on eggshells. Like,
Mm.
and I had to think about what I had to say before I could say it. I couldn't just be like me and you, just talking whatever we want to talk about and being free of my, chat, of talk and what we want to say. I had to really think about it and see, okay, well, if I say this, how is he going to react? And so at first it was really hard, really, really hard. I mean, I'd be crying all the time. I couldn't say things, So I know a lot of people can feel the same way as I felt. And it was really tough during that time, for sure.
Yeah. So when you got to that point where, and I've heard this over and over again from people who have been in a relationship that um, has played out very much like this. I mean, in one sense, and perhaps this was true for you, or perhaps not, but in one sense, there's this hope, and there's almost this. It's not being naive, but there's this pure hope and thinking that, well, things are going to change. Like things will get better. I know
Mm-hmm.
things will be better, and that's because you're that type of person who sees the good in others and sees the positivity, right? And so
Yes.
sometimes it puts us in a position to second guess ourselves. But that
Mm-hmm.
walking on eggshells where it gets to a point where you feel like no matter what you do, and it's not only what you say, but how your body moves, how your eyes move, if your eyes go up or down or side, every single little nuance, it's never enough, it's never right. It's almost like a trap. It puts you in that trap, right?
Mm-hmm.
You
Yes.
this tiny but mighty, right? You're still with this big heart, you're still thinking, okay, we can shift this, we can change this, we can make this,
Mhm.
there's hope for this. And that's, that's kind of what we hold on to. And yet there's sometimes that there are those relationships that no matter what, you just can't feed them enough. And I think and I
Yes.
know for sure is that they can't feed themselves, right? They just can't feed them.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. That hit
Mm.
the mark 100%.
So what happened to you? What was that aha moment that something had to change for you?
Well, I mean, after dating him for so many years, I thought, okay, I'm giving the benefit of a doubt. Like you said, he's going to change, and that's what we all think is, okay, that's okay. He'll change, he'll change, he'll change. He never got help. I had, I was hoping that, he would get some help because people started telling him, just different things like, oh, you're not treating her right. And his mom was number one. That's one thing that I take into consideration now. If you don't treat your mother good, you're not going to treat anybody else good. And he
Mm,
did not treat his mother well at all. So that was a really big red flag. And now I learned from that's something that I need to look out for, when dating another person. I'm happily married now, but back then. And I just kept seeing more red flags. And as I was talking to, other people, friends, family, about it. And I keep this really minimal. I didn't really spread this out because I'm embarrassed to be in a relationship like this. And I don't want to share it out with the world, like share it to everybody, my whole family, because I don't know what they would think of me. And so at that time, I was just, really close to my mom, and I had shared it with my mom. And we had been going through tragedies at my house too, with, people getting different types of cancer, them passing away. I think at that time I went to like 10 funerals for my family that just passed away from all different types of cancers at the same, I mean, like the span of like 5 years. It was crazy. I was like, I'm over funerals. So I already had emotional buildup as it is
sure.
and so it was just piling and piling, piling, and I was going to explode. And so I needed to do something for myself, and I needed to stick up. And I also was getting help at the time. I went to therapy,
Mm,
and that really helped a lot. And me in the beginning, I didn't believe in therapy, to be honest, but I thought it was just a Joe Schmo kind of thing, like, yeah, this is not going to work. But actually, it does, because you're talking to a complete stranger that doesn't know your side, doesn't pick sides, and you're able to get it off your chest, and it helps so much. Like, I kept this all in this whole time. I mean, I'm sharing it
mm,
with my mom and stuff, but still, it's like it's still going to be buried down in there. And then I honestly, after so many years, I just put my foot down, and I was like, all these different things were making me even more mad. I was like, he's not even changing. I can't deal with it mentally and physically. Or emotionally, I couldn't deal with it anymore. And my mom's like, you need to start putting your foot down and saying things like, I can't do this anymore. I'm not going to do this anymore. That's when I started saying, I'm not going to be at the house when you're watching baseball. If if we can't spend time together, just me and you, as an intimate kind of thing, like just being in presence, then I'm not gonna, be around you. And I hated the fact that he yelled at his mother all the time. That was not something that I liked either. I can't be around yelling and like always in a negative, angry mood. That's not me. I didn't grow up being angry. I was always positive. So that was my family. And that's when I just decided, after 3 years, that was one of the hardest things I think I've ever had to do, is put my foot down and say I'm done. And I walked away after 3 years. And it sucked because I was really, really attached to his family. His family was amazing, amazing, amazing people.
mhm.
And that's the hardest thing, is to walk away. And you know what? We're still friends. We still talk till this day on online. And his mom's not here anymore, but she completely agreed with me and she loved me dearly, and she was just had so much respect and said, I'm so proud of you for walking away from him. And that's his own son. It's like, wow. And you just get to a boiling point in your life. Like, you just get to the point where you're like, I'm done. And I know a lot of people go through this and they're like, I can't do this anymore. And you can't. You literally can't. You're at your last straw. I did everything for myself because he manipulated me thinking that I'm the bad person, you know? And so I did everything I could do to fix the situation that I thought was wrong. But it wasn't me the whole time, it was him.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, you really gave us a lot about setting boundaries, walking away, reaching that point where you really remember who you are. Can you think of a couple of more very simple red flags? Because you talked about the first red flag was how someone treated their mother, right?
Mhm.
Or a family member, right? Um, and then also another red flag that I got from what you shared with us is that um, that person was demanding your attention all the time, 24/7. Those are two really big major red flags. Is there anything else that you could think of just to help others who may be struggling in a relationship and we know what we know what we know. We
Right.
know it,
Exactly.
but again, our hearts are big and we want to give someone grace and think that things are and sometimes we can't even wrap our heads around the fact that someone would have this type of behavior, right? So those
Right.
are two red flags. Is there anything
Right.
you could think of just briefly, just as a heightened awareness for others?
Right. Well, first of all, they shouldn't be changing who you are as a person.
Okay.
You want to be yourself. You don't want to, I'm not going to change for someone else just to make them happy. I mean, literally, you should be who you are and they should love you for who you are. Um,
Accept right, accept you
accept
for
you.
who you are, and I would dare say amplify, which I'm sure that you'll agree with, is to encourage you to be more of who you are and encourage you,
Right.
you had
And be
wanted
there for you. Yes.
yeah,
Be your accountability partner. Be there for you. My mom was there for me through thick and thin, through everything. You
sure.
need a partner to be there for you. My husband's like that with me. Now, thank goodness, but you need somebody rooting you on. You are enough. You have these strengths, utilize them with anything, with your life that you are in the relationship or your business. You need to have somebody back there rooting you on.
Yeah, yeah, and I dare say that, possibly the experience that you had brought you into self-awareness and that you really remembered who you were. That's because you got to that boiling point, right? And you
Yep,
remembered who you were and you decided no longer to compromise. So you had to be in your
exactly.
court first before anybody else could.
Absolutely. And you know what? It took me 10 years to actually go back to dating. I was like, well, I don't really need a man to take care of me. First of all, a lot of women have that instinct where they need a man to take care of them. And I don't have any issues against that because that's great. I love having my husband takes care of me too. But as being a strong woman, you want to be able to take care of yourself. You don't want anybody telling you what to do. You don't want any of the demanding stuff and you want to be free with what you want to do. And so, being through that relationship, I was like, well, I'm not going to have anybody telling me what to do. And I want to be free and do whatever I want to do. If I want to go, to have lunch with my friends, I'm going to go have lunch with my friends. If I'm going to have brunch with my mom, who cares? I'm going to go and nobody's going to be hounding me to asking me where I'm at. Get over here. You can't do that kind of thing.
Right.
Um,
I
and so
totally
I
get
was
that.
I was literally scared to get back into the relationship. My guard was up for a long time until I finally was like, okay, I'm ready to love again. Ready to let my guard down. But it took me 10 years.
Yeah, so we're going to delve into that. I do want to say though that I have seen men be treated this way as well. So just
Oh,
it's
yes.
women women are not the only ones who are treated this way.
Mm-mm.
Often the men too. So the guys out there, I want you to hear this too, that we're speaking with you as well, is that we recognize that
Absolutely.
in any relationship, one can kind of uh, not allow you to be yourself until you do that. So that's where I want
Mhm.
to get into too is how did you learn, even though it took you 10 years. Some people it takes them 10 minutes. Some people it takes them 20 years, whatever. There's no judgment in the timing, right? Because
Hmm.
everyone's on their own journey, you know. But how did you learn finally to feel safe with others again? What, maybe it was just one little thing, or maybe it was something big that broke open for you. But how did you learn to feel safe with others again?
Oh, that's tough. You know what? In that during that 10 years, I was out and about doing everything I wanted to do. And, a lot of people were telling me you can't punish others for what, that one boyfriend did to you. And that really opened my eyes because they're like, you have opportunities to be with anybody that you want, and you're not choosing. I know it's emotionally hard for you to take in the 10 years. And then when somebody had told me, you can't punish others, you can't just because you've been, through. And a lot of people, that I went out with too said, I'm not like him. I'm not him. So you
Mm-hmm.
can't compare me. And I didn't feel like I was comparing them. I never said anything about comparing them, but that was the feeling that I had from me, and I was just not ready yet. And so I would never want to put anybody down, but people knew, what I went through. Like, some people did, and I would share why I'm not going into the relationship with him or with you. Like if we went to dinner one time and this person wanted to make it more official, I'm not ready yet. I'm sorry. Yeah, I mean, I feel bad, but I felt like God drove me in the right path though
Mm-hmm.
as well. And he knew who I was going to find, my husband,
Yeah.
and thank goodness for him. And I wasn't even looking for anybody. I mean, we had been dating for a while, and I wasn't thinking I was like, well, we're going to take it slow because, and then it was funny. We were out one day, me and my best friend, and she was like, "Are you guys gonna just be official already? I mean, come on." And then so she kind of moved it along, and we did. And I was like, "Okay, well then I'm ready to try again." Um,
It's
so
it's
here we
funny.
are.
It's funny how God does that, especially sometimes, when you're not looking. But I
Exactly, when you're not looking, you find they find the yeah.
have happened to me too, so I love that. But it felt like you needed that space and that time to rediscover and to play and to
Yes.
to not be in a space where you could make your decisions and you could mess up or grow or whatever. You needed that space. So it feels like, and I don't know if this is the case or not, but it feels like you needed to learn how to trust yourself again before you could trust being in another relationship. And so you went through all of these people, and yes, they might have been a good fit for you or not, but as you said, your energy, your soul, your frequency just wasn't ready. But then when you met your
Hmm.
husband, there was something about him and the two of you together that must have felt like you felt safe with him and that you could
I
trust
did.
him. That
I
that
did. And I didn't
yeah.
feel any red flags with him either because he loved his mom and treated her like the queen. So I
Got
knew
it.
that was one red flag that I was like, yes,
Yeah.
and he
Yeah.
didn't tell me what to do.
Yeah. And
So,
sometimes when we're if you're in an abusive relationship as you described it, even if we're out of that relationship, we're very wary and we're always kind of looking for, as I always say, looking for the other shoe to drop. Like things
mhm.
seem to be going well and okay and we're being a little cautious and all of that.
Yes, and you have
Right.
to. You do. Even if it's a perfect relationship and you've been together for, 3 to 5 years, it can always change. So you always want to make sure that you still, a little bit, have your guard up a little bit, just a little bit, and make sure you're looking for those red flags because people can play it very well. Other times, people play different roles. So it's like being an actor, right? You're one thing in front of your family, in front of or in front of your wife, but you may be someone totally completely different in front of your family and friends.
Right. I think it's it's very important that we really understand who we are and what's okay for us and how we put ourselves out into the world
Yes.
because when you are so light, sometimes we can attract those who can't create that energy for themselves. And yet we have that ability to attract, like you did your husband,
Mm-hmm.
you have that ability to attract that other high frequency person who would never even consider doing any of those things because it's not in his makeup as well. So
Absolutely. Mhm.
I love that. I love that. So, just briefly, share with us. So, what is the one thing that brings you peace right now in your life?
Oh my gosh. My dog. My last dog passed from cancer, and we moved from California to Texas,
Yeah,
and my husband knows, like, I have not been without an animal for a long time, and he knows, like, that's the thing that literally helps me, like, not have anxiety, kind of like emotional support kind of dog, right? And I wanted something to take care of again. Like, I was ready to love another animal.
sure.
And so then he said, like, a year after we moved, he's like, okay, well, I was trying to look for a dog for you, a rescue dog, because we wanted to try to go for a rescue one first. And he wanted to do it for, like, a gift for Christmas. And I was thinking, oh my gosh, how cool. But he goes, it didn't work out. It wasn't going to come in time. And I wanted you to be able to pick out what you wanted. So I ended up researching and finding a actual breeder. And
Mhm.
so I was like, okay, I want to, just try this. And I always adopt. So this was the first time that I didn't go for adoption. But and so, oh my God, she is so smart, so charming. She's a lover. I made sure that she's a lover girl. Animals give unconditional love that humans just cannot give. And I needed to feel that feeling again. And
Yeah.
it's a different kind of love. I don't think people understand. It's a different kind of love.
Yeah. I think we have a lot of animal lovers out here who totally, definitely understand. And that's the word that popped in for me as well, is that it is unconditional. We all need to have that same unconditional love for ourselves. If it starts
Yes.
right, then
Right.
then it's easier to see what serves you and what doesn't serve you. And well, you bless the situation and that you learned from something and you move past and then you bring into your life what's all good. So I so appreciate your sharing this
You're
very
welcome.
important story that I know others have gone through as well. Tell me
Mhm.
quickly, how can listeners connect with you?
Absolutely. So I'm on everywhere, every platform you can think of on social media. I'm literally, you can Google me, Go Green with Emily. It's Emilie. And literally Google will show you everything on there. But I do have gogreenwithemily.com if you want to get a hold of me on there. I also have an email if you want. It's Emily with IE, White, like the color, 261 at gmail.com. So,
Beautiful.
yeah, there's a plethora of places where you can find me.
Beautiful. I love it. And thank you so much. I'm grateful for your openness and for
You're
your
so very
sharing
welcome.
everything with us today. I love it.
Thank
And
you so
thank
much.
you are welcome. And thank you all for being here today. And if one person came to mind while you were listening, feel free to share this conversation with them. You can find Untangling the Heart on YouTube, LinkedIn, and wherever you enjoy podcasts. And be sure to follow and subscribe so you never miss a conversation. Until next time, from my heart to yours.
We've all got stories we don't say out loud, little knots we hide away.